Welcome to the Shifting Inward podcast, where we explore the mindset blocks that keep entrepreneurs stuck. Your mind is one of the most powerful tools at your disposal. Your thoughts shape your actions, and your actions drive your success. When you shift what's happening internally, everything externally starts to move. Hi, I'm Joe Rizk, and in this episode, we're discussing the productivity trap, why being busy doesn't mean you're building a profitable business, and how to focus on the work that actually moves the needle forward. So let's get into it. The productivity trap is when you confuse being busy with being productive. You're working hard. You're checking things off your to do list. You're putting in the hours. But at the end of the week, you look at your business and nothing has actually moved forward. Revenue hasn't grown. You haven't gained any new clients and you haven't launched anything. You've been busy, but you haven't been profitable. And here's the thing. Not all work is created equal. There are tasks that move the needle, the ones that directly contribute to revenue, growth, and momentum. And then there are tasks that just keep you busy. They feel productive, they may even feel important, but they don't actually build your business. Needle moving tasks are things like selling, launching, creating offers, marketing, having client conversations, building relationships, producing content that attracts your audience. These are the activities that generate revenue. These are what grow your business. Everything else, like organizing your files, tweaking your website, researching competitors, planning future projects, attending every network event, learning new tools, those things might feel productive, but they're not actually moving the needle. They're just keeping you busy. And the productivity trap is when you fill your day with the busy work and avoid the needle movers. Because the needle movers are harder. They're actually scarier. They require you to show up, to be visible, to risk rejection. So you do the safe tasks instead, and you tell yourself, well, I'm being productive. But you're not. You're just avoiding the work that actually matters. So, what does the productivity trap actually look like in your business? Maybe you spend hours perfecting your website, adjusting the colors, tweaking the copy, reorganizing the layout. It feels like important work, but meanwhile, you're not reaching out to potential clients, you're not creating content, you're not selling. You're just polishing something that doesn't need to be perfect because perfecting it feels safer than putting yourself out there. Maybe you're constantly researching, reading articles, taking courses, watching tutorials, learning new strategies, and it feels productive because you're acquiring knowledge. But you're not applying much of it. You're staying in learning mode because doing mode feels too risky. Here's a big one. You spend your day on administrative tasks, organizing your inbox, setting up systems, creating templates, reorganizing your filing system structure. But by the end of the day, you feel accomplished because you checked off a lot of boxes. But none of those tasks brought in revenue. None of them moved your business forward. They just kept you busy. Maybe you're attending every networking event, every webinar, every virtual meetup. You're showing up, you're connecting, but you're not following up. You're not turning those connections into clients. You're not doing the uncomfortable work of actually asking for the sale. So the networking feels productive, but it's not leading anywhere. Or maybe you're stuck in planning mode. You're mapping out your next launch. You're building systems for a business that doesn't exist yet. You're creating content calendars months in advance, and it all feels like progress. But you're not launching. You're not selling what you already have. You're planning instead of executing because planning feels safer. And here's another one. You're doing a lot of low value tasks because they are quick wins. Responding to every email immediately, engaging with every comment, jumping on every call request. You're busy all day, but you're reacting to other people's priorities instead of protecting time for your own needle moving work. And here's what happens over time: you work long hours, you're exhausted, you feel like you're giving everything to your business, but revenue isn't growing, clients aren't coming in, and you're frustrated because you're working so hard, but you're not seeing results. The problem isn't your effort, the problem is focus. You're focused on being busy instead of being profitable. Okay, so why do entrepreneurs fall into the productivity trap? A lot of it comes from fear. The needle moving tasks like selling, launching, and putting yourself out there, they are vulnerable. They require you to be visible. They open you up to rejection. They force you to hear no. So you avoid them, not consciously, but you fill your day with safer tasks, tasks that feel productive but don't require you to put yourself on the line. There's also this: busy work gives you a sense of control. When revenue is uncertain, when client acquisition feels unpredictable, when you don't know if your launch will work, you can't control those outcomes, but you can control creating a new spreadsheet, or setting up an email template, or updating your branding, or even researching your competition. So you focus on what you can control, even if it does nothing to move the needle. And here's another layer: society rewards busyness. We've been conditioned to believe that working hard equals success. That started early, in school. You were rewarded for completing assignments, showing your work, staying busy. Then, in traditional jobs, being visible at your desk, putting in the hours, looking busy, that's what gets you noticed. So you learned that activity equals value. But entrepreneurship doesn't work that way. You're not rewarded for hours logged. You're rewarded for results. And until you unlearn that conditioning, you'll keep defaulting to busyness instead of effectiveness. There's also the dopamine hit of checking things off. Completing small tasks feels good. It gives you a sense of accomplishment. So you gravitate toward the quick wins, the easy tasks you can finish fast. But those tasks don't compound because they don't build your business. They just give you a temporary feeling of productivity. And here's the uncomfortable truth: needle moving tasks are hard. They require focus. They require showing up even when you're scared. They require doing the work that doesn't guarantee immediate results. It's easier to stay busy with tasks that feel productive than to do the hard, uncomfortable work that actually grows your business. There's also this: you don't always know what the needle movers are. You're doing what you think you should be doing. You're following advice. You're trying strategies. But you haven't stepped back and asked, is this actually bringing in revenue? Is this actually moving my business forward? Or am I just staying busy to feel like I'm making progress? And finally, there's this: you're avoiding the truth that your business needs revenue. And revenue requires sales. It requires putting offers in front of people. It requires asking for the business. And if you're uncomfortable with that, if selling feels hard or salesy or vulnerable, you'll find 1,000 other things to keep you occupied, and you'll call it productivity. But really, it's avoidance. But here's what you need to understand: your business doesn't grow because you're busy. It grows because you're doing the work that generates revenue. And until you prioritize that work, the busyness is just keeping you stuck. So let's reframe this. And I know this might sound harsh so far, but it's important. If your business isn't growing, it's not because you're not working hard enough. It's because you're not working on the right things. And the only way to change that is to get honest with yourself about where your time is actually going. So here's the shift: being busy is not the goal, okay? Building a profitable business, that's the goal. And profitability comes from doing a small number of high impact activities consistently. not from doing 100 low impact tasks that keep you feeling productive. Another shift: not all tasks are created equal. Some tasks generate revenue, some tasks support revenue generation, and some tasks are just filler. You need to know the difference, and you need to ruthlessly prioritize the ones that actually move the needle. And here's the truth: the uncomfortable tasks are usually the ones that matter most. Selling feels harder than organizing. Launching feels scarier than planning. Reaching out to potential clients feels more vulnerable than tweaking your website. But those uncomfortable tasks, those are the needle movers. And if you keep avoiding them, your business won't grow no matter how busy you are. Here's another reframe: revenue generating activities deserve your best time and energy, not your leftover time at the end of the day after you've done all your busy work and you don't have any energy left. Your first hour of work should go to the tasks that bring in money: selling, marketing, creating offers, having client conversations. Everything else is secondary. And here's what most people don't realize: focusing on fewer things gets you further than doing everything. You don't need to be busy all day. You need to spend 1 or 2 focused hours on needle moving work, the revenue generating tasks that actually grow your business. That's what moves you forward. The administrative tasks like organizing and planning, yes, those still need to happen, but those are supporting roles. They don't deserve your best energy or your prime hours. So do the needle movers first, and then everything else that fills the gaps. And stop asking, am I being productive today? And start asking, did I do the work that moves the needle? Because at the end of the day, your business doesn't care how busy you were, it cares whether you did the work that generates revenue. So, how do you actually break out of the productivity trap? Good question. First, identify your needle movers. What are the 3 to 5 activities that directly generate revenue in your business? For most entrepreneurs, it's a combination of selling, creating offers, marketing, producing content, having sales conversations, building relationships with potential clients. Write them down. These are your priorities. Everything else is secondary. Second, protect time for needle moving work every single day. Ideally, your first hour or 2 of work should go to these tasks. So before checking your email, before you scroll social media, before you get pulled into reactive mode, when your energy is highest, do the work that matters most. The administrative tasks can wait. Third, audit where your time is actually going. Track your work for a week. Write down every task you do and how long it takes. Then ask yourself, how much of this time was spent on revenue generating activities and how much was spent on busy work? The answer will probably surprise you, and it'll show you exactly where you need to shift your focus. Fourth, batch the low value tasks. You still need to respond to emails. You still need to organize files. You still need to handle admin work. But you don't need to do it throughout the day. Block 1 hour at the end of your workday for all the small stuff. Get it done efficiently and protect the rest of your time for what actually matters. Fifth, stop saying yes to everything. Every time someone asks for a meeting, a call, a favor, a collaboration, just ask yourself, is this a needle mover? Will this directly contribute to revenue or growth? If not, it's okay to say no. Your time is your most valuable resource, so protect it diligently. Sixth, embrace the discomfort of needle moving work. Selling feels uncomfortable. Launching feels vulnerable. Putting yourself out there feels risky. But that discomfort is a signal. It means you're doing the work that actually matters. So lean into it. The busy work feels safe because it doesn't require anything from you. The needle movers feel hard because they do, so do them anyway. And finally, measure results, not activity. At the end of each week, don't ask yourself, how busy was I? Instead, ask yourself, did I make progress toward revenue? Did I have sales conversations? Did I launch something? Did I create content that attracted my audience? Results are what matter, not how many tasks you checked off. Your business grows when you focus on what moves the needle. Everything else is just noise. You already know what you should be doing, so the question is, will you actually do it? If this resonated, drop a comment and share your story. Do you struggle with the productivity trap? What needle moving work have you been avoiding? I'd love to hear about it. And I invite you to join our free school community to connect with other entrepreneurs who are breaking through mindset blocks and supporting and celebrating each other's growth. Link in the description. I'm Joe, and I help entrepreneurs shift inward so they can move forward. See you next time.